It's Technique Tuesday, and we are here with another teaching for you guys. And I am excited to bring you this powerful teaching. It's so powerful, I made notes for you guys, and it's going to be really great. So welcome, jump in, tune in, get ready, get out your notepads, your thinking caps, everything you need to do for this teaching, because we are coming in with installment number 4 in my pilot season prep series. And in this installment, guys, I'm going to be talking to you guys about two very powerful things: you and your mindset. That's one thing. And the second thing is going to be your approach and your technicalities, bringing those together and then showing you how to be fully involved in your career and take things to an unconventional level. So I'm going to be discussing that a little bit. We're going to break out of conventionality, I think that's right, and showing you how to kind of cut above the edge. So I'm going to start off with that, and then we're going to go into the approach to take with Hollywood and how to kind of circumvent things like representation, the system, the industry, even casting in some cases. So we're going to talk a little bit about that to give you some insights and understandings on how to, oh, it wasn't on. Okay, so there we go. One of these days we're going to get all this technology straight and there's not going to be a glitch, but we got a lot going on here. So for those of you guys who are just tuning in, I am Coach Banks. I am here at Claybank Studio International, just over the hill from Hollywood. And we're in a full live broadcast streaming studio where we do all kinds of fun and exciting things here. And I've got actors that are already going out on pilots. It's an exciting time. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that. What I would like you to do is ask questions in the chat. Please go ahead and do that and jump in. We'll attack those questions about halfway through or so, and then start getting to them as we go through this. But before we get started, if you would, and you have access to chat and you're live, just put in where you're coming in from. Just go ahead and write it in the chat right now. Where are you coming in from? What city, what state, what country? It'd be really great just to kind of hear where you are and what the reach is for this show. That is always exciting for us. So go ahead and write that in there, and let's see if we can't give a heads up to the furthest person away from Hollywood, California, whoever that might be. So go ahead and type that in. Okay, guys, so here we go. First thing that I want to do is get out of the way the key important things that when we are out there looking to promote our product, we have to be functioning at a peak state or in a performance zone. Now, I'm not going to get into this too much because I covered it pretty extensively in my past teachings, and you can go back and look at 1, 2, 3. This is 4, and we will finish with 5. 5, by the way, is going to be all about the business of show business and pilot season and how that breaks down. And as a little sneak peek into that, if you would like to get a head start on that, last Friday I brought into my show PZTV a SAG-AFTRA delegate, industry veteran Kevin E. West. And Kevin and I broke down for an hour all the insights and interesting things that you'd want to know about as far as the business and what's going on with Hollywood right now and the state of the union, SAG-AFTRA, and approaching pilot season. So there's a lot of really cool extra added information on that show as well. You just go to our IG page, Facebook page, and look for PZTV. I'll be interviewing Kevin E. West. Very powerful episode. So powerful we did an extended 20 minutes on top of the hour, so there's a lot of information for you guys right there. Okay, so going through this, we have San Juan, Puerto Rico so far is the furthest one away. So I think that's Jeffrey, is that correct? Jeffrey, welcome. Glad you're here from San Juan. We're a little chilly here in Southern California today, but it's been beautiful, and I bet you're experiencing some great weather there. So welcome. Really glad that you're here. Okay, so in the preparation for the product, which is us, it's important to understand all of us have different states of being and different ways that the panel of experts operates in our minds, okay? And as you mature through life and you start learning more, and I don't know the age of anybody watching right now, but I'm sure we got a pretty wide range from teenagers way on up. As you do start to mature in your understanding of self, you start realizing that there's this kind of panel or this team. And the team either works together or the team works against each other. And so something that I would like you to think about is that the team, when it works together, we allow each person on the team to do the job. So for example, there's a leader, there's a take charge person, there's a warrior that's inside us, and that's the go get 'em person, the one that's like, yeah, I'm after it. And you know, those certain days when you just really got it going on and it's like, we're getting after this, nothing's getting in our way, you know, you're like a boxer in the ring ready to get after it and win the fight, you know, that part of us. And then we have the sage, the thinker, the wisdom, the person that likes to think about things and contemplate things, in some cases worry about things. I wouldn't recommend that, because worry is just misdirected thinking in prayer and it goes in the wrong direction. So if you turn that into concern and prayer and meditation, it's going to take worry so much out of the game. So let that sit where it will, and over time, just work on that more and more. Worry is not going to serve anything, anytime, for anybody. It might sound good. Oh, I'm going to worry about you. But I mean, in practicality, it's not a good thing. So think about that. Concern, thoughtful application, prayer, meditation. Put your focus to work for you, not against you. Then you have the whimsical person, and that whimsical person is that artist, that kind of Merlin character that's feeling like, wow, it's almost magic. And when we have that type of energy working for us. Now, there's some of you might be going, I don't know what he's talking about. Others of you go, oh my gosh, how does he know what's in my mind? And I got a whole bunch more. Here's the deal. It's important for you to have an awareness about who's operating, because you don't want to put the warrior in where the sage should be there. And you don't want the magician where you should have the wisdom. And it's about learning the balance and learning your states of being. And a lot of that comes from you having a system of operation. And this is what I want to give you guys today. It's really, really important. There aren't too many incredibly successful people, or athletes for sure, that don't have a methodology or a process or technicalities of how to go about doing things. When you don't have those things in place, what happens is it becomes kind of haphazard, and whatever goes on happens, and I'll see, and let's see how I feel today, and maybe I'll get lucky. That's not the way. And you can study all the greats out there, and you're rarely, if ever, going to find that kind of approach to becoming successful at something. It will almost always come back to a system, a manner of technicalities that are repeated and repeated and repeated and repeated until they become so embedded that no thought has to be given to them, and then you're free to operate in what's very commonly known as the zone or flow. I was at the DGA, the Directors Guild, for a screening of the original first Sherlock Holmes movie with Jude Law and Robert Downey Jr. And if you recall back to that movie, the ripping banter that just seemed so improvised was just so fascinating. And one of the questions that was asked in the Q&A to Robert was, were you and Jude Law improvising? And I'll never forget his answer. I actually put it in my book. His answer was, no, not at all. We learned everything so well that we understood the parameters of the sandbox so we could just get in and play. Lack of preparation does not make for a spontaneous performance. A spontaneous performance comes out of much preparation, and that's developing methodology and self, systems, and applications starting from the time you wake up in the morning. So when you wake up in the morning, if you have the first hour of your day worked out on purpose, you now become the thermostat as opposed to the temperature gauge. You're not just going, okay, well, what's going to happen to me today and how do I feel today? There's too much random and chance in that. But when you get up and you say, these are the things that I do for the first fruits of my day, you now can start setting the direction of where you want to go. And that can look like so many different things. Now, I've been a life empowerment coach since 1980. Yeah, I've been doing this a long time. I was employed with a Fortune 500 company for 10 years, and I studied under the greats, and then went into applying those skills for my 18-year acting career and producing as well. We've done so much producing, and then going into coaching actors and then do life empowerment coaching. So it's about you having these systems in place that are going to help you to understand what's going to get me into my performance zone, and then keeping yourself in a peak state. And then when you feel yourself coming out of that peak state, knowing, no, I have to stay up in the peak state. But here's the catch. Most of the world that we operate alongside, most of our friends and family and the general public operate in a comfort zone. And so that becomes the known state of being, is that comfort zone. Now, when you're wanting to do something exceptional, you've got to break past the comfort zone into your performance zone. You have to break past the regular into the peak. And then once you start operating at that place, it's now maintaining that peak state so you can keep having success and victory and accomplishment, as opposed to failure and defeat and maybe and, oh, there's something good and then no, and all of that. And by setting a practice in place in the morning, so I'll just throw out a couple of things to you and I'm going to move on. Of course, meditation is huge. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be a religious thing, and it's not, unless you make it that. It's really about you calming yourself, working with your breathing, and steadying and focusing your mind and slowing it down and getting it on point on what you want to focus on. Then people will often bring in scripture or meditations or affirmations or mantras and things that will continue to feed the self and not bleed the self. And then, of course, there's reading. Reading things that encourage and motivate and uplift and inspire you. And all during that time, if you can work it out where you're drinking water, at least 16 ounces over an hour, what happens is you're now hydrating your body and you're setting your metabolism, you're getting your breathing, you're getting oxygen in your system, and you're setting yourself up for a peak performance day, as opposed to whatever happens to me. So by putting those principles in place, you're now taking charge, going, no, this is how I want to be. This is how I want my day to be. And then when the barrage of things come at you, and everybody kind of lives a little bit differently, some of you kind of are still in the lockdown and you just deal with yourself. And then others of you are more like me. You're dealing with multiple businesses and all kinds of people and situations and electronics and everything else that goes on. And it's like taking hits. Sometimes you get taken out. And when you do get taken out, boom, you got to bounce back up to your peak state. But if you don't have a peak state and you get taken out, boom, now you start going down that deep, slippery slope. And now when you bring yourself back up, you're just bringing yourself back up to a normal zone or a comfort zone. And then you're missing it altogether because you're going in on auditions and you're going up against people that do operate in a peak state. Not going to be to your advantage. So you go, I don't know if I do that. I don't have that extra hour in the morning. Yes, you do. All you have to do is wake up a little earlier. Well, I need my 7-8 hours. Well, then go to bed a little earlier. Look, it's self-management. If you're listening to me, chances are you're a solopreneur or an entrepreneur. That means that you're responsible for your own business or a business that also affects other people, but you're not necessarily just employed and working for somebody else. Now, you might be doing that, but if you're pursuing your craft, you actually fall into the category of solopreneur, and that's a self-employed business person that has to manage their business operations. So I like to throw this out to my students, and I'll move on. If you worked for you, if you were an employee of you, right now, would you promote yourself? Would you compliment yourself? Would you pay yourself more money? Would you dock pay? Would you fire yourself? Think about that, because we do. We work for ourselves. And if it wasn't a positive response, then get on it, because it's tough to fire yourself from yourself. But sometimes you have to do that. You fire that part of yourself and go, no, no more. This is how it's working. And now the chief is taking control. Okay? And now you're ready to get into it, and you're ready to get going. In past sessions, and I talk about breathing quite a bit, power breathing and oxygen breathing and diaphragmatic breathing. Work breathing in, because what it does is it packs oxygen into your cells. It feeds your system. It gets you at a peak state. It does so many things and has so many benefits. I'm not going to take the time in this teaching for that. But get yourself prepared and ready, because it's really about you. So here we go. We're switching gears. Okay? Ultimately, guys, what you're asking people to do in pilot season, and when you're auditioning anytime or interviewing, trying to get representation or take a meeting with somebody, doing a general with a casting director, or just, talking with directors, producers, network people, depending upon where you are, you're asking people to take you on and to be spending long days with you. Okay, that's what we're doing. We're going, hey, I'm asking you to spend a 12, 14, in some cases 16-hour day with me. Now, well, who are you? I mean, do you enjoy spending that much time with yourself? Do you have friends that you get tired of after a few hours? I mean, think about that. And if you do, which we all do, unless you don't have any friends, we probably do get tired of them after a while. And why? Why? What is it about that? And do people like being with us for extended periods of time? And if so, why? If not, why? And so, as weird as this might sound, this has so much to do with whether or not you're hired to work on a project. It really, really does. Now, often casting directors will do generals. We've been working on generals for 3 weeks in my studio right now, because we're in an intensive on pilot season. And generals are basically when people just want to meet us. They just want to take a meeting with us. The casting director might just work this way, or they're in between projects, or they're sending an assistant to see who else is out there, or you're meeting with a director, or a producer, or a writer, or showrunner. These are general meetings, and in these general meetings, people want to find out about us and who it is that we are. So what I want to do is talk to you about your likability, and are you fun? Do you have something to offer and to talk about? And what I find, and I've been at this for a long time, I've been coaching actors over 3 decades, is that actors often want to talk about their acting. Now, where that might be a lot of fun for us when we're meeting our friends and family and going back home and all of that stuff. Oh, I'm an actor, and all of that. There's a certain, fix we get off of that. The serotonin will spike and, deliver, and we'll feel good about all that. But at the end of the day, industry people, they're not so caught up with that, because they're living in it all the time. So this is where we get to the special skills area of yourself and your resume. It's important to do things well and do them with excellence. So right now, what I'd like you to do as a quick little exercise is I want you to think, everybody listening to this, wherever, whether you're watching this live or after time of taping, right now think about what is it that one thing, and you might have a few, and some of you might struggle, but one thing you are exceptional at. Think about that. And what I mean by exceptional is you could actually classify it as professional. Now, professional by definition means you're being paid to do it. So that's why, like, Olympians aren't supposed to be making any money until after they're through with the Olympics, and then they go. But they're professionals. They're professional Olympians. So whether you're making money at it or not, what is it that somebody would pay you a lot of money for because you can do it so well? Could be anything. I had a fellow in my studio 2 weeks ago. He says, I can do competitive jump roping and backflips with a jump rope. And I'm like, okay, what's up with that? And he said, here, watch, boom. And he popped right off his feet and spun backwards and landed right back on his feet like that. And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Where can you get paid to do that? He goes, I work with Cirque du Soleil. Think about that. Think about that. You can get paid to do just about anything these days if you do it exceptionally well. And you'll want these skills because they also make for talking points. Everything I'm going to talk to you about in this session is going to add to this part of you being more marketable, because people want to be with you. And when you can do things exceptional, when you have things that you can say you do that, you have talking points, you have interests, you engage people, you're not just discussing the industry. And then when you get one of those down, add another one. Think, do you have another one? Do you have another one? Do you have a small handful of skills that you can do? And now if you're going, no, I don't really, go to work on them. It will make you more marketable and more profitable, and people will want to be with you. Okay? Now, I'm going to cover 3 questions for you here in a minute, and then I'm going to wrap this up with 3 key points for you to take away with. Okay? And in doing so, what I'm working at with you guys today is helping to develop a wonderful version of you. Because it's not just going in a room and trying to get a job. It's not just going in there and trying to land a pilot. That's the bad attitude, because people are going to smell that a mile away, and they're certainly going to smell desperation. So I want to encourage you with this. Are you doing A or B? A, are you going out there asking to be hired? Are you going out there wanting to get something from somebody? Well, you walk into a casting office, you want the job, right? You're trying to get hired. Well, let's take it to the next level. Do you tend to beg a little? Do you have the air of desperation on you? Look, those things might sound bad, but they're very easy to take on. Here's B. Are you going in there with a wonderful version of you to give them something, to provide an answer to their question and a solution to their problem? Think about that. Because when you go into an audition, when you prep yourself, and when you get ready to go to this unconventional place I'm going to talk to you about, when you do that, when you are bringing them something, it's so much easier to approach people than when you're there to ask them for something. Think about that. When you go to ask something from somebody, it activates a whole different physiological experience than when you say, hey, I've got something for you. It affects us. It affects us in our body. It affects us in our energy and our emotions. So think about that. You have to be good in this business to work. And you get good by studying a process. You have technicalities. You have a system of doing things. You do it again and again and again every day, until you get so good at it, you don't need to think about it, because then you don't bring in the work, you bring in the product. And so often actors are bringing their work into the room and wondering why they're not getting anywhere. They don't want your work, and they can smell your work a mile away. They can. So they want to see you with the finished product. The sandbox has been built, the structure's in place, and now you get to play. One of my actors was in here this weekend for a private, and we were talking, and he's kind of hit a little bit of a wall. And it happens when you're training. You know, you soar, you hit a wall, you fall, you get back up. It's everything. And so, stay with your coaches that you're working with. Stay in those studios that you're training in. Just if you're like, oh, it's not working for me now. No. That's called lidding out. And when people lid out and they don't know better, they go lateral. And when you go lateral, you come back and you're just going to lid out again. When you start lidding out, you have to keep banging your head against the wall, the ceiling, until you break through. And now you come through to another level. That's a whole nother teaching. But here's what I want you to think about. When you are going out on an audition, meeting with representation, any industry professional that you're presenting yourself to, or pitching yourself to, or storytelling yourself to, you're bringing them an answer. You're bringing them a solution. When I used to walk into the auditions room when I was acting full time, I would be like, I'm here, your problems are over. Now, it's not cocky and it's not arrogant. It's confidence, because you can deliver. And it was just an internal thinking that kept me in my peak state to go in there and have my energy present itself in a way that they go, let's bring this guy back. I want to know more about this person. Or if they know me, they go, there it is. There's Clay delivering the goods. Can't wait to show him to the producers. And that's the energy that you want to have there. Because over time, guys, what we're doing is we're building relationships. You want to work in this business? You're not just winning the battle, you're out there strategizing for the war. And that's developing long-term healthy relationships with industry pros. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, they're industry pros. I'm this actor coming about. We're not on the same playing field. That's mindset. We're all on the same playing field. It just depends what the playing field between your ears looks like. Because if you've got what's known as a poverty mentality, meaning you always think little of yourself and you put yourself down and you keep yourself small because you think there's some kind of, morality in that. No. Humble is not thinking less of ourselves. Humility is thinking of ourselves less, but building a big self. And that's where the product comes in, and that's what the cameras love, and that's the power that we need on a set. So when you're meeting people, and I'm about ready to go into the really interesting and controversial stuff right now, keep in mind, guys, that you're building long-term relationships with industry pros that remember you and will call you back. They might not call you back right away, but they will call you back. They will remember you. They will know about you. Many of you know my story. I had a series. I was third detective on a cop show for a few years. It was great. It was a fantastic period of time of my career. Really dug it. I did not have to audition for that project. I auditioned for a movie with the same casting director and production company a year prior and landed the job as a detective on a movie that they were shooting. Hadn't heard anything from them in a year. I got a phone call, got cast as third detective because they knew me, because of the relationship that we had forged and had, because I'm a pro. And here's some basic, simple things about being professional, all right? And these are simple. Is you're a solution, not a problem. You're thinking for the other person going, what would I want if I were them? So the first thing would be is when you showing up. You actually show up. So many people just don't even show up for their auditions. They don't show up for their meetings. Now, I know some of you might be going, what? But it's true. So you show up, and you not only show up, you show up early. You see, if you show up on time, you're late. If you show up late, you're fired. If you show up early, you're on time. And if you can kind of get that thinking, that reputation goes far with people when they think about you. But if you're always somebody kind of sliding in by the seat of your pants, or you're always coming in late, always have an excuse, that stuff works against you, period. Amen. Hard stop. Story over. That's just the way that it is. And especially when time and budget are so huge in our industry, showing up early is a big deal. Now, you don't have to show up a day early. So, just get in the habit of showing up 5 or 10 minutes early. On the Zoom call, you're there. When you pop into the Zoom call, you're right there, you're smiling, you're ready to go. It's a simple little thing like that. You don't come in with excuses. You don't come in with crazy bad stories. You come in with positive, uplifting, cool things about your life that make us want to be with you and spend time with you and develop a relationship. And we want to share you with other people, because ultimately, here's how it works. There you are. There we are. Some of you have representation, some of you don't. Some of you are going out and getting cast, some of you aren't. Here's how it works. First, you've got to represent yourself to representation. Okay? Now, you don't always need representation. I'm going to talk to you about that in just a second. But you show up because you want to be repped. Now, that person has to decide you're someone that's adding to their time allotment, meaning every person in the stable of a manager and an agent requires time, and they can only allot so much time to a day. And each actor, each talent takes up that piece of time. So you're saying, I'm worthy of your time. Then when that rep pitches us to the casting department, casting's only got so many slots, and they've only got so much time. Are they somebody that wants to spend time with you? Now, once you get into casting, Casting now makes the decision on who's going to move forward to see the directors, the producers, the network, however the project's set up. And they're going, okay, this is going to be an exciting person to represent me to the director. And that's how the casting person thinks. Then the director's got to go to bat for you. There might be 3 people up for the project, and you're one of them. Okay, think about this scenario. Okay, 3 people up for the project, you're one of them. And the director's going to like somebody a little bit more than someone else. And now they got to start talking to the suits, to the producers, and start convincing. And the producers go, well, we really think that we're going to go with this person. And the director's like, well, I really want this is the person that's right for the project. Those conversations go on. Do you have enough meat on your bone to be able to have them pull for you that way? And that's where you're building up your product to represent you, your skills, your talents, your abilities, and your personality, and who you are. Go huge in how far you go in this industry and people that want to work with you, to the point where you're getting what's called shortlisted. And you want to be shortlisted. Now, what shortlisted basically means is when somebody comes, well, here's shortlisted. I'll show you shortlisted right now. Here's how it works, okay? All right, clear your mind for a second, everybody. Here we go. You're going to do a little mental exercise. I want you to think about your top 3 to 4 friends right now. You can even say their name out if you want. Your top 3 to 4 friends. Okay. Now, I want you to say a few more names if you've got some more friends. And it could be family members too that are your friends. Okay? Say a few more names. Okay. Now, I want you to stretch, and you can go into the banks of the past. You can go deeper into your family line. Think about 3 more names. Okay. Now, we actually need another 10 friends. And you're going, well, I can't think of any more friends. Right. So guess what? You now put out a casting call for more friends. And you start bringing in new people to join that group. All right. That's the casting process. But the closest friends are the shortlisters. That means when a call comes in for a 20-year-old brunette female that's musically gifted and can do comedy, if you fit in that category, casting director thinks about you. You're in that short list. Okay? Middle-aged guy, athletic, can do voices. If that's you, you're in that category. Looking for the regular person, looking for the character person, looking for the bad guy, looking for the biatchy girl, you know, whatever it is, do you come to mind in that category? That's what shortlisting is. And you want to be able to get to that point with casting, with production. Look, the deeper you go into this industry, the smaller the town becomes, and more people know each other. Okay? So that's the deal. And how you do that is all the things I've been talking to you about and working more on you. So here we go. I'm going to present you now with 3 questions. All right, I want you to answer these questions. You could write them down. All right, here they go. First question. What purpose do I serve? That's question 1. What purpose do I serve? All right, question 2. What problem do I solve? What problem do I solve? Question 3. What is it that makes me unique and different from everyone else? What is it that makes me unique? In answering these questions, you're filling out your character breakdown. You're learning more about where you fit into the archetypes of storytelling. So, for example, what purpose do I serve? I am the fill in the blank, ingenue. I am the next door neighbor. I am the greatest quirky you're ever going to see. Okay, what is it? Fill in that blank. What problem do I solve? When you are looking for this kind of person, not only am I them, but I crush it. and you can stand behind that. Now, some of you are there and you're going, oh, I got these down. Great. And some of you are like, I don't know, I don't have an answer to this. Go to work on it. The answer to these questions is going to help you, and it's all going to come together as I go further, into this. What makes me unique? What is it? Now, of course, we are all unique, but boy, homogenizing, there we go, is becoming something so much more, where people are becoming more groupy, and it's becoming more, we're becoming more alike. And what we want to do as individuals that are going in to a casting office to say, I fit this character breakdown that this writer has written specifically, and I can uniquely possess these gifts and talents that this character that's been written and created has. And that's our job, of being uniquely us and not just fitting in with what everybody else is doing, okay? So go to work on that. And here's how you can practice doing this, all right? So here's a little exercise for you guys. And go to work on these things. Oh, let me give you a little breakout thing on going to work on these things. You know, a lot of teachers and instructors and people that want to teach you things, we will tell you to do this and do that. I like to structure it a little bit more to give you the parameters, because I understand what it takes for people to fall out and to not do things, because I've been studying human behavior my entire adult life. And when you go to practice something, here's how it has to work. You can't just say, I'm going to get to it. And this is the nonchalant, blase-blah attitude that a lot of people live in, that is not going to help them to be successful in this industry, and definitely not in front of the camera, because the camera loves specificity. So when you're going to go to work on yourself, if you're listening to this right now, I'm telling you that if you're not working on some aspect of yourself every day, you're not serious. You're not in the game, okay? You're part of what we call the chatter. Now, the chatter all fits into my pyramid of C's. Some of you guys know my pyramid of C's. I'm just going to show it to you real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time with it. But the pyramid of C's basically kind of breaks down where people fit into this industry and into this business, and really anything competitive. I'll just read it to you real quick. If you'd like a copy of this or any of the show notes, all you have to do is send us an email, info@claybankstudio.com, and we'll send it to you. But the pyramid of C's basically goes from chatter. And these are people that just chatter about it. They talk, it's lip service. I'm an actor, but they're not really doing anything about it. Okay, there's nothing going on. Then you get clutter. And clutter are people who are talking and dreaming about it, and they might even kind of be going out or trying to do something, but they're not trained, they're not qualified to do any of this. They're just clutter. Then you get into the third C, which is the crowd. And the crowd are basically people who are studying, who are trying, who are working. Some of you guys might be in the crowd. Some of you might be in the chatter. I don't know. But if you're here listening, you're probably not that low on the pyramid. You're in the crowd, and the crowd is people that are wanting to learn more about this. There's no judgment on this. I'm just telling you how it works. People that want to learn more about the business, which you should be. They're actually doing something about it. You're taking classes, you're studying, you're training, you have a coach. You're doing the job. Now you're in the crowd. Well, doesn't that mean I'm in it? No, because the next one is you have to be called. That's when you're in the game. Being called, being considered, and being chosen, either to be represented by them or to come into the office to read for them. So you're either called, considered, or chosen. Now you're in the game, okay? Now, you're not competition yet, all right? Because competition is when you get the call back. Now you're competing, all right? Now you're competing. And at this point, you can be the ultimate C, which is cast. Now you're cast, and you're working. So you're going from chatter, clutter, crowd, called, considered, chosen, called back into the competition, and now you're cast. And that has an awful lot to do with what are you bringing to the game, okay? And how are you applying yourself? So for you to get into that place where you're really working at it, you've got to carve some time out every day. Now, I say to my actors, 2 hours, especially if this is what you're doing and you don't have another job. If you can't carve out 2 hours a day for your craft, what are you doing with your time? Minecraft? I mean, you should be working on your actual craft. And what does that look like? That looks like setting an in point and an out point and going, I'm going in, I'm going to work on me, making me a better product, and I'm going to finish. Now, not every day you can do 2 hours. If you can only do an hour, but commit to that time, set it apart, and go to work. Now, a couple of things you go to work on. One is you go to work on you as the creative artist. I call them artist adventures. You seek more things about yourself, how you think, how you feel, how you hear, how you speak, how you smell, how you taste, how you touch, how you are aware. I've got all kind of videos out there on artist adventures. You can check those out. You're working on your technicalities, your cold reading, your memorization. You're working on reading scripts and reading story to learn more about that. Working on monologues and building characters. Every day, set some time to the side and work on making you a better version of yourself. Okay? So now let's start getting into you presenting yourself in the final few minutes here that we're doing this, how to approach production and how you can kind of circumvent conventional methods. Now, the conventional methods are you do everything you can to get representation. That representation is working with you. Remember, they're getting 10%, we're getting 90%. Don't expect them to do 90% of the work. If we're getting 90% of the money, we do 90% of the work. They're getting 10% of the money, they do 10% of the work. If you get that mentality, you're going to go a lot further. But most people don't have that. Oh, I got representation. Great, they're doing all the work for me. Wrong. It does not work like that, okay? So when you go from there, then you get into the castings, and now you're working towards the callbacks, and you're working towards getting cast and getting on projects and meeting people at an upper level. Okay, that's the conventional way of going about doing it. The non-conventional way is, how do I get a pilot by not going through the conventional methods? That's what I'm going to talk to you about in the remaining few minutes here, okay? First thing is, you have to understand that developed characters get cast. Developed characters get cast. All right? You need to know how to do proper character work. And I don't mean playing characters and you're a character actor, meaning you as different characters. And some of you are trained and at the point where you can deliver characters. Others of you aren't. We're talking to a wide range of people here. So to help you understand more about characters, I've created 2 character breakdown sheets. And I give these to my students. They're basically guideline sheets that help you to put a character together. There's a basic version and there's an advanced version, depending upon how much work and effort and energy you're going to put into it. So for example, if you've got an audition in a couple days, you've got to work that character up pretty quick. If you've got time, like you got cast in a movie and it's not going to shoot for a month, you should be going to work on advanced character development. Now, I have these sheets available to you in the show notes. All you have to do is ask for them, info@claybankstudio.com, and I will send you those show notes, and I will send you these sheets to help you out, complimentary, just because we want to see you guys have everything working for you, okay? So characters get cast. Now, here's what I want to encourage you to do. You can go straight to production. Ooh, wait a second. What did you just say? Watch, it's going to get worse. Especially those of you in the millennial generation. This is going to hurt. Here it comes. You ready? You pick up the phone and you make a call. And you speak to real people with your own words, listening with your own ears, and not relying on your eyes and text. What? Right. It's not the way of the wagon and the payphone. Think about it. This scares people crazy. And if you're doing it, you're now in the fine category of people doing something that most people don't even know exists and are petrified from doing. You can call straight in and pitch yourself. Wow. You're scaring me now. I'm tuning out. Really? Well, if you're leaning in and tuning in, then here we go. I'm going to show you a few ways on how to go about doing this. Believe me, I wouldn't be telling you this if you couldn't do it. And here's the insight, it's easier now than it's ever been. The people that make up the entertainment industry, casting directors and producers and directors and network executives, guess what? They're people. They're human beings that have feelings and thoughts and issues and families and friends and problems and dreams and hopes and worries and everything else, just like the rest of us. They are people. Now, you might have run into one or two or a small handful of people along the way that acted like they were, holier than thou or treated you poorly. Those are the exceptions. They're not the majority, and don't let those exceptions scare you. So here's how you go about doing this. When it comes to you getting on a show and getting on a hit show and getting on a pilot show, they're all a little different. I'm talking to you right now about pilots. And here's the deal with pilots. Pilots are opportunities for all involved. Everybody wants it to work. Everybody wants a position. The casting director wants to be the casting director for that show. They don't have the job yet. The director wants to stay on and directs the episodes of that show. Maybe not all of them, but they want to direct. The producers want a show so they can produce, and the networks definitely want a show that they can air. I mean, everybody wants it. And so for pilots, all departments are working together to land a job, including talent. And they need the talent. And unless there's already a star affixed to that project, that position is already taken. And if there's, if we're coming down the call sheet before we get to non-names, those pilots are more difficult to get after. So first thing is you want to approach pilots that don't have stars attached yet, because it's going to be easier for you to get in and present yourself, because they're looking to fill the character of Susan and of Bob and of Robert and of Jeremiah, and they need to fill these roles. So you can go to the actual above the line people. And here's a few ways on how this works. First of all, you have to find out where these people are. And here's how you do it. In this land of easy information, the answers are all right there. And I'll tell you a few places you can go to find out about the projects. You're not just going out there going, please, please, it's pilot season. Somebody, please cast me in something. No. That you got to get rid of that right now. While I have this sip, dump that. That mentality is not helping anybody. You want to get very specific and very clear. You're a type, you're a character, you're known. You know who you are, you know what you have to offer, you're a quality person, and you're ready to get after it. Boom. We're in our peak state, we're in our performance zone. Great. Moving forward. What kind of shows do you want to be on? Any show that anyone will cast me. Wrong. No. You want to know the type of shows you want to be on, and you have to research the shows. How do you do that? IMDb Pro. You can find out just about anything you want to know. That's one way. Google it. That's another way. You can find out about these people in Backstage, in Variety. You can find out about them in the Hollywood Reporter. There are all types of resources for you to find out what shows are going into production, what's going on out there, and who are the players that are going to be involved. Then you start researching. Yes, another dirty word, research. It's called work, four-letter word. I know a lot of people don't like it, but if not, it ain't going to happen very well for you. You've got to do the work, because there are people, when I share this information, and other coaches and industry pros that talk and teach and impart knowledge and wisdom to you guys, like I am right now, will tell you the same thing. You've got to work at this, because there are people who are working at this, and you're not going to have a chance up against those that aren't. So when you find those names, what kind of shows are they doing? What is the ethos of the project? Meaning, are you going on out for like dark, gritty, heavy drama? Or are you going out for upbeat, like, multicamish, sitcom-y stuff? Where's the energy and where's your vibe? Where do you fit into it? Don't go after shows that you're not right for. It's just not to your advantage. Go out for shows where you become a solution. Now, people to go after, showrunners. When you can find out who the showrunner is, and often the showrunner is the head producer and is the writer. Not always, but often. That's the person with the weight. That's the person that if you can get to them and you can contact them even before they're casting, you don't have to wait for them to be casting. You should not be waiting for them to be casting. You should be going out after these people before they actually even get the casting director on the project. You can do that? Yes. Of course you can do that. It's the early bird, right? Catches the worm. It's the person that's going out doing the unconventional things that gains the advantage. Now, some of you guys are eating this up and you're actually going to do something about it. And I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you with an email, info@claybankstudio.com, and just say, Coach Banks, I was listening to what you were saying, and I did. I picked up the phone. I did my research. I made a call, and I got a meeting. Yes. Yes. You're not going to be the first one. You're not going to be the first 1,000 to have done that. People do this. It's for the ambitious go-getters. Well, that's not really me. Okay. Well, then you're making your mental decision on where you're going to be. How about I can do that? I've never done it before, and it scares the pants off of me. But you know something? I'm going to pick up that phone, and I'm going to make a phone call. And you want to know what? Not every call is going to get you through. Some calls won't work. You can't let that stop you. You call and you keep talking to people politely, not with an attitude of desperation, begging, and fear. That will not work. Do your preparation, build up the instrument, and then go ahead and start making some calls. And you can call the writers. On new shows, writers often have a lot of the power, not in the writer's room, but like the head writer, because often the head writer is the producer. And again, like I said, the showrunner. So you're going after the writer, you're going after the show producer, you're going after the showrunner, you're going after the producer. You're finding out, and you can do this research to find out who's where, and then you just start making calls. Now, here's an insight into just going in on a blind call. Let's say you find a show, you go, oh, this show looks great. I want to get on this show. This show is speaking to me. I have actors come into my studio all the time. They say that. They go, oh, Coach, I got to get this. This is so me. And I read the breakdown and I go, yep, this is totally you. Let's get after this thing. Now what you do is you go and you do your work and you find out, okay, whose project is this? And when you find it out, you find out who that person is. And then guess what? You put them in a search and you look for their Facebook page. You look for their Instagram account. You look for their Twitter. You look for whatever online social presence they have, and you start finding out about them. Well, Coach Banks, isn't that stalking? No. Stalking is sitting outside their house. That is research. You're learning about them so that you can find out what are they involved with, who are the people they work with. Often, like on their IG pages and their Facebook pages, you might find out, they're into surfing, or they're into biking or mountain climbing, or they got an affection for, a certain country or something. And you go, oh, wow. And then you've got talking points and something you can relate to them with. If somebody showed up at my studio or sent me an email or gave me a phone call and said, Coach Banks, I understand that you're an avid shredder, a snowboarder, and I just wanted to let you know about some things that have to do with where you can find the best POW in the area instantly. I'd be like, whoa, who's this? What? How does this person, what? Who is this? It intrigues people. We're people, and people relate to anything we relate to. Here's another little example, and I'm getting ready to finish this here. Why does this happen? Hi, how you doing? Good. You? Cool. So where are you from? I'm from Hoboken, New Jersey. No kidding. Yeah, I got a cousin in Hoboken, New Jersey. Okay? What does that have to do with anything? Nothing. It's called relating. And we relate just like a dog with its head out the window. When it sees another dog, it goes crazy. Oh, whoa. Why? Because it's relating on all these mutant dogs called people. It sees one like itself. Hey, dog, like me. Relate. Connection. Bark. That's how it works. So when you understand people operate like that, guys, it's not going to be really hard for you to do this, okay? It's a non-conventional approach, and you can take a shot at it. Now, I'm going to talk more about this next week in installment 5 of 5, next Tuesday at 12. It's going to be a shorter version. It's only going to be 30 minutes. It's going to be the business of the business. I'm going to take this information to the next level and give you some more insights on the business of helping you to approach the business aspect of business when it comes to pilot season. So it's going to be strictly on that. But I want to give you 3 points. I think we have a question. We're going to stop for a question. What should you say when you call casting and production? Okay, terrific. Great question. There's a lot of ways to do this. First way is if you can find out their contact information and you can get them either a text, or you can get them an email, or you could even send them snail mail. If you can get something to them first, this is a really, really effective way. You say, "Hi, so-and-so. I understand da-da-da-da and da-da-da." So you're just making a relationship that you know who they are and you know what project they're working with. I feel that I have an answer to your problem. I can do this. And now you fit in the IU part, okay? And you tell them what it is you can offer them. I am going to contact you in a few days to set up a time to talk. So now you've set your text in place, you've set your email in place, you've set your snail mail in place, and told them you're going to call them. So now when you go to call them, you're going in with the attitude that they're expecting your call. And when you pick up the phone to call them, you either say, yes, is Bob, Jim, Mary, Sue, whoever there, because their assistant might pick up the phone, or they might pick up the phone and you're saying, is this Bob, Jim, Mary, or Sue? This is me, fill in your name. I mentioned that I would be calling. Do you have a minute? Is this a good time? Okay, see, it's a strategy, and it's strategy that gets people the gold. It's not just going after something haphazardly. And this is why I want to talk to you about 3 keys in wrapping this up. If you're just going to pick up the phone to talk to them, you pick up the phone and you say, is this so-and-so? Great. I am so-and-so. Do you have a quick minute? Sure, what's this about? It has to do with the project that you're working on right now. I think I have a solution for you. And now you allow yourself to you have to have people skills in order to do this. So this goes back to my assignment. I was amiss. I didn't give you the assignment. Okay, rewinding. I want to give this to you before we wrap out of here. Set up your camera. Set it up. Set up your phone. Set up your camera. And put yourself in interviewing mode and start practicing 30-second, 45-second, 60-second interviews on explaining you what you have to offer, what makes you unique, why you're the solution to the problem. Keep practicing it and keep doing it. Watch the tapes back and see how you're coming across, okay? And watch until repetition builds understanding, okay? Then you can do that with the phone calls as well. Okay, make mock phone calls. Practice it several times before you actually call them. You just have to do the work. Okay, 3 points and I'm going to peace out, all right? 3 key things to help you out with your strategy. 1, you have to plan your work and then you work your plan, okay? You have to plan your work. You have to have a strategy in place. This is what I'm helping you with and I'm going to cover it a little bit more next week. Then you've got to work that plan. And you should work that plan with some guidance. This is where coaches come in, and coaches can help you out. This is where being in a network, in a group environment of people that are all doing the same thing with like-minded individuals to work this out. We do this in my studio every week. We work these things out so that my actors are ready for these phone calls. They're ready for these meetings. And then you want to surround yourself with key people who can help you, ideally a coach, in a studio with a team of like-minded people that are working with you, that you can have open conversations with, that you can discuss these things with. You can talk about the art of the craft and work on becoming a better version of you. And you can also discuss the business of the business and look at different strategies. So when you do get a key project, coach, I just found this project. It's right up my alley. I know who's casting it. I know who's on board. Great. Let's go into a power session. Let's work it out. Let's get you ready for that so that you have everything working for you. You see, that's where the strategy comes in. Now, I'm out of time for this session, so I just want to encourage you guys. We want to help you. That's what we're here to do. I want you to let me know how you're doing. Info at claybankstudio.com. We'll send you the show notes. You can get a 30-second sample session with me if I've never met you before and you just want to get some.
30 minutes.
What did I say? 30 seconds? Oh, yeah, 30 seconds. That'd be a quick session. Thank you. My producers reminded me. A 30-minute sample session on my website, claybankstudio.com. And I'll be more than happy to help you with some of these things. And guys, if you're interested, I'd love to have you come into the studio via Zoom or here in the studio and check out our classes. We got a lot of really cool things going on right now, claybankstudio.com. You guys are awesome. I look forward to helping you even further, wherever I can, however I can. And until then, guys, I just want to say God bless all of you. Be safe out there until we see each other again. God bless.